strong torrent, which led to the dispersal of the tribes of the people of Saba. Malik ibn Fahm al-Azdi and his people turned to the Surah. Malik and his people remained in the Surah. Then he and those of his people who obeyed him left it. It was said that the reason for his departure was his dispute with his brother Omar bin Fahm bin Ghanem. Omar's shepherds were walking their sheep in front of Malik's neighbor's house. Malik's neighbor had a dog that was barking, screaming, and scattering their sheep. A shepherd archer shot her with an arrow and killed her, which led to a dispute between the brothers. Malik became angry at the actions of his brother's shepherds and said,
"I do not live in a country where my neighbor is treated unfairly."
Then he left the Surah angry. That place was called Najd al-Kalba. After they left and reached the middle of the road, Malik's camels longed for their pastures and began heading to the desert and repeating their longing. This scene contains verses that Malik said about them.
Malik's camels long for their homelands. There are many other countries, and in every land there is a place for a boy. I will not stay in a house where anyone humiliates me. Other lands will make you richer than the land of Hijaz. Its areas are wide and its paths are clear. Malik's camels long for their homelands. Her longing is for the place in pastures. Rich pastures, but difficult to reach. And those who prevent you from doing so are honorable children. Make the sound of longing slowly and be patient. You no longer have pastures here.
Malik and those with him left for Oman. He would not pass by an Arab neighborhood in Ma'ad or Adnan without greeting him. Because of his strength and the large number of his soldiers, and he heard that there are Persians in Oman, and they live there. And some Arabs said in poetry,
"The Khosrau gave the country of Oman the name Mazun. Mazun, my friend, is the best of my country. A city with farms and palm trees, beautiful pastures and fresh drinking water.
Malik prepared his soldiers. It is said that they were about 6,000 horsemen and foot soldiers. He prepared and headed towards Oman. When Malik and those with him arrived at a place called Al-Shahr, Mahra ibn Jaidan ibn Al-Haf ibn Qudaa ibn Malik ibn Himyar lagged behind him, so he camped in Al-Shahr. Malik walked until he entered Oman with a large army in horses, equipment, and numbers. He found the Persians there on the side of King Dara bin Bahman. They were ruled in Amman at that time by the satrap, King Dara's servant. A landlord sent to the satrap the king's servant, Dara. He asks to disembark in one of the countries of Oman and that they give him permission and make room for him in water and pasture, to stay with them. Malik's messengers reached Al-Marzban and his companions, so they decided among themselves and consulted. Until there was discussion and consultation for a long time, then they unanimously agreed to reject it and said,
"We do not like this Arab to stay with us and reside in our land and homeland. We don't need his closeness between us."
Their answer reached Malik. So he sent them a letter in which he said,
I have to get off somewhere in Oman and share the water and pastures with you. If you leave me voluntarily, I stay in the country and I will thank you for it. But if you refuse, I will hate you. If you fight me, I will fight you. If I defeat you, I will kill the fighter and capture the people. And I will never let any of you land in Oman.
At that time, Malik withdrew with those with him to a place called Kalhat, so that he would be more protective of them. Then he left behind his dependents and burdens, and left with them from the soldiers those who would protect them from them. Then he accompanied the rest of the army towards Al-Jawf, now called Al-Dakhiliya Governorate, relieved those with him and relieved himself. He prepared those with him, and he also prepared. Then he dug a falaj, now known as Falaj Malik, in the state of Mana, where his camp, horse stables, and soldiers were located in that place. So the Marzban ordered the blowing of the trumpets and the beating of the drums. He rode with his soldiers from Sohar in a large army. It is said that it was about 40,000, and it was said that it was 30,000. And with him were his elephants. Al-Marzban and his soldiers headed towards Al-Jawf to meet Malik, until they landed in the Salut Desert, which is located between the states of Bala and Nizwa now. This reached Malik bin Fahm, so he rode with 6,000 until he reached the Salut Desert, where he encamped opposite the army of Al-Marzban, and they stayed that day. There was no war between them on that day. Malik bin Fahm spent the night preparing his commanders from the right, left, and center, riding the battalions and placing the Azd soldiers in their positions. He gave the right wing to his son Hanaa, and the left wing to his son Farahid. Malik stood in the middle with the people of help and distress. On the other side, the Marzban also began to gather his battalions, and his companions took their positions, and both groups prepared. And in the morning, Malik mounted his horse, put on his protection, and rode with him his 2 sons and the Azid knights on that mobilization. When they gathered for war, Malik led his companions and walked between the companies and battalions, saying to them,
O people of Azd, people of victory and protection, fortify yourselves, defend your sons, fight, and advise your king and your authority. If I am defeated and you are defeated with me, the Persians will pursue you with all your soldiers, kidnap you, chase you between every stone and pebble, and deprive you of your kingdom. Do not lose your resolve and authority. Prepare yourselves for war. You must be patient and careful, because there is another day after this day.
So he began to incite them, and ordered them to be patient and cautious, and circled around them all the banners and banners of his battalion, until he had finished with all his battalions and soldiers. The satrap marched with all his soldiers and commanders, and set the elephants before him. Malik and his companions approached and called out to them,
O people of Azd, come with me. May my father and mother be sacrificed for you to these elephants, and kill them with your spears and swords.